Welcome to Talkin' Shit, the podcast where we get real about the unfiltered truths women face in the quest for perfection. I'm Jana, your host, a dietitian and fellow woman navigating the pressure to have it all together, the perfect body, career, relationships, and making it all look effortless. Who set that standard anyway? Here, we're calling out the diet fads, hustle culture, beauty standards, and everything else that keeps us feeling stuck. But we're not just venting, we're diving into how to break free and rewrite the rules on your terms. So, grab a coffee or a glass of wine and let's talk some shit. Together, we'll uncover how to live a life that's unapologetically yours. This is Talkin' Shit. Let's dive in. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Talkin' Shit podcast. I am so excited, but also so nervous to have this guest on today, Dustin. So Dustin and I met through Leadership Fresno, and we've remained in contact ever since. And Dustin's actually a gym buddy of mine, if I can say that. I don't know, like he helps me show up super early on Thursday mornings, far earlier than I ever would. But Dustin and I talk all things leadership, all things motivation, all things like how to lead yourself well. And so I'm super excited, Dustin, one, for you to be here and for us just to kind of talk some shit today. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Dustin Chappell. A little bit about myself. I spent quite a few years in the military, did a couple tours in Iraq, and after the military, decided it was time to get my degree. Went to a local college at Fresno Pacific University, local Christian college. And then when I started my degree, I got hired on. Well, when I finished my degree, I got hired on with PG&E, and I worked with PG&E for quite a few years, running the control centers in various different locations. And during that time, I got my master's degree at Fresno Pacific as well. So, just a little bit about my background.
Yeah, you have a very interesting resume, and I think, well, it obviously has made you who you are today. So we've talked a lot about this idea of confidence. Does confidence like really resonate with you? And it's something that you work with really a lot of individuals on.
Uh, for me, confidence is like it's like the number one thing I think that the military instills in you. It comes with discipline, right? Discipline. With the discipline comes the confidence. And the confidence, the military really drills it into you from day one. So even if you walk in the door and your shoulders are down and you're really kind of beaten up from life or whatever the case may be, they immediately inject that confidence in you because they don't want they don't want people in the military that can't handle themselves, I would say. So that's why confidence to me is everything, because it builds it starts with with the confidence, and it builds character, and with character it builds I don't know, your life.
Whatever you want, yeah.
Whatever, it's your foundation. I mean, it's the basis for everything. I mean, if you don't have discipline, I mean, what do you have? I
So
mean, you're lost. Yeah.
So, Dustin, from that angle, like the confidence aspect, what do you see people doing that really isn't helping them build confidence?
What do I see? Really, I mean, it starts with eye contact, right?
Mm.
So if you don't have eye contact when you're on a simple task, like not even a task, like just shaking somebody's hand, simple greeting, I think that is like gone to the wayside. I mean, today you look around, everybody's in their phones, they're walking around. So simple interactions on a social basis builds confidence. And if you are stuck in a machine, the confidence is within the machine and it's not actually in person. So I would say to build confidence, you'd have to engage with the population and actually talk to them and shake their hand and look them in the face.
Oh my gosh, that I see that all the time, right? Like, I mean, and
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that too. Like, like it's not something that I don't do. However, it's something that has built my confidence in even being able to look myself in the mirror, right? Like, and make eye contact with myself to build that confidence in, okay, I see you essentially. But then also with others is you can tell very quickly if someone feels confident or not based on one, how they do shake your hand, right?
right,
And also if they make contact with you, or if they're like looking all over, or particularly if they're looking down and their shoulders are rolled forward. Instantly, there's so much. And you talk a lot about this. Like you look at body language so much. What's your thing that you say on body language?
93% of communication is nonverbal.
Hmm.
So I'm hard of hearing. I have hearing aids from my time in the military. So I really focus on the other aspects of my senses. And given the time that we spent overseas, I mean, you try to use all your senses at all times, right? So with body language, I mean, you can tell a lot about a person,
Hmm.
you know, by
Yeah.
that.
Do you feel like as a society we're confident or we're not confident?
Well, what's your definition of confidence? And what are you referring to? Is it confidence behind the machine or is it confidence face to face?
Face to face, like I feel like there is a reckoning or like this like undertone, like this rumbling that's happening where people want to get back to, I'm saying like get back to basics. And part of that like is a food aspect, right? Like I'm a dietitian, so I want people to get back to the basics of like whole real food. And that's another thing that we could talk about because I'd love people to know your story with that. But also like the basics of shaking the hand, making the eye contact, like not having to slide into someone's DM and messaging them, right?
Right,
Just
right,
being able to talk to them in person and carry a conversation with them in person that's not like super awkward and weird.
right.
I feel like we need to return to that, and that's part of the confidence because a lot of people like they're doing everything behind their phone, but they don't actually have the confidence to show up in front of someone and say the same exact thing.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. So when you're sitting behind your phone, there's a lot of, how would you say, we used to call, if you drink too much, it's called liquid courage. You know, when you
Hmm.
start doing things under the influence of alcohol. Well, I would refer that to or compare that to the same thing, right? You're behind the machine, you have an influence of some sort behind them, you know, in the computer system, and that confidence comes from there. But the moment that you're faced with adversity in your face, you know, that's really where it's like, do you have the confidence? Do you have the discipline to stand there and face adversity and move on with that challenge? Or do you fight it? Or do you fail and fail and fail and fail and then eventually make it?
Hmm. Do you feel like that's where we're getting weaker?
Yes, absolutely. Because, like you said, shaking hands, it's basic and we've lost it. People don't talk to anybody, you know, face to face. How many times do you see people actually talking to each other, like engaging in conversation at the grocery store or, you know, anywhere? And I mean, it's all text. I mean, people text from one room to the next room. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of it. I text my son and say, you know, come out, come out of the room, you know,
Yeah.
instead of yelling or something like that. So, you know, we've got to get back to the communication of face to face, because I think that will restore confidence in people is having that personal interaction on a social level.
Not only confidence, but also connection.
Mm,
Like to be able to connect with another human being in that way, even if it is just to say hello or good morning or whatnot, it does wonders for that connection aspect, for the safety aspect, for feeling like, okay, I'm not alone in this world aspect. Like there's so many other reasons why that in-person eye contact, face to face is so important for our health and also for our society.
yeah, I mean, how do you interview?
Mm.
I mean, how do you have an interview? I can't tell you how many people that have sat in front of me that I've coached for interviews, and I mean, they really don't know how to interview. I
Mm.
mean, that's I thought that was taught in like ninth grade or something, right? Am I wrong? I
It
mean, I
used to
thought
be, yeah.
I thought so. I mean, but
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you get better, over time, but just something simple like that. I mean, when you're sitting in front of them, they can't give you the eye contact. They're looking away. And I think a lot of that has to do with the phone.
Mhm.
I think
So,
so.
so you're a huge person on the gym, and
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit of the backstory to why that is, because I also think that that connects to confidence. Like for me, like the women that I coach, I always encourage them to move their body because one, it puts them in action, and two, it almost instantly builds self-confidence. I've never known a woman that feels less confident after a workout, right?
Right.
And so it just keeps the energy flowing. It keeps you right. Like there's just so many benefits, but you're hardcore. You're like you have a mindset that is, I would say, very unique. So tell me some backstory of like how that came about.
Well, obviously everybody knows Goggins, right? So, yeah, so that's where he kind of started, where he was like no nonsense mentality. But my mindset happened a couple years ago. I was diagnosed with cancer, and it was kidney cancer. And so from that moment, it was, I got to do something. I got to make a change. Things aren't going right. I think what started is when I went in and I tipped the scales at like 282 is what it was. And I was like,
82.
yeah, 282 pounds, and it was not healthy, like 282 pounds. I mean, to the point to where the doctor was like, you know, thinking that I'm going to have, issues, and I remembered not too long, I guess it would say within a year prior to that, um, where I had, like a panic attack, at work. And I was like, this is, you know, stress of working, all the hours that we would work or whatnot, just coupled with, stress of life and whatever, and not eating right and not being healthy and just going with the flow and saying, oh yeah, this is healthy because it says this, or this is healthy because it says that, and just really not reading the labels and not really being focused on any of that led to this, ballooning of weight and, you know, cardiovascular issues in terms of like, I don't know, not being able to walk very long and getting short of breath too, where now after that diagnosis and that transition, I said, I got to change. I got to make a difference. And first started with my wife. She was deciding that she wanted to do the same and go down this path. So she started reading books. And I think the first book she read was like Forks Over Knives. And then so she started talking about whole food, plant based, diet. And of course, I'm like the meat and potatoes military guy. And I'm like, absolutely not. This is not going to happen. I love hamburgers. I love my steaks, whatever. And I love it all the time. I can eat eggs. And so then I went in with the doctor like a month later. I would say, yeah, about a month later, and then he's reading I did a full panel, and he's reading it, and it wasn't that good, you know, and that was in February, and I'm like, but I've been doing good. I've been dieting, I've been straight, what's going on? I've been going to the gym, and then so he said, well, maybe you should, start cutting out some meat, maybe just, once a week or twice a week, just have a little bit here and there. And then she's chirping in my ear about this whole food plant based and the doctor saying on the other side. So then I said, I'll do my research. And so I fell into the Game Changers on Netflix. And I think I made it halfway through and I said, I'll never eat meat again. And or dairy or any of that. And I think it was the trip that we took to the dairy is really what kind of
I,
started my process of really going, hey, maybe there's something else to it. And it's funny that we speak of it now because it's been almost 1 year. And I just did another panel and I'm completely green all the way down the board. So
wow.
whatever I'm doing is working.
Yeah. And so for context, your high weight was 282. What are you now?
I fluctuate between about 205 and 208, which I think is my good weight.
So about 80 pounds loss.
About 80 pounds. Yeah.
And you've said like you completely transformed your life, like not only from like the panel, but you mentioned like even inflammation and how your body ultimately feels and functions. Like that's a huge focus for you. And you talk about it often.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So with the kidney cancer, they did this robotic surgery, and the robotic surgery went into the side, smaller incisions. With that, I think I nicked a nerve somewhere, and I think that's part of the process. So the hip. So I'm constantly stretching, and I think that's what started this isometrics type, you know, workout that I do. Is I started to feel better. And I think I said it to you on the treadmill. I said I go to the gym to relieve myself of pain.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. Those are my workouts. My workouts are focused on stretching, body weight, lower weight, higher reps, and really focusing on the rep and less on the increased in weight.
Gosh, it doesn't that like that it gets me every time. Like every time I hear
Yeah.
you say that, like you go to the gym to relieve your pain. Like that just hits me so hard because I that for so long I feel like the gym has been looked at this place where you go to put yourself in pain, to put yourself in starvation, to put yourself in humiliation sometimes, right? Like to put yourself in discomfort. And you have a completely different context of that. If you go and you step into the gym to continue to heal your body, but also to
Mhm.
keep your body of the strain or the pain that it may experience if you're not there, which I think is such
Yeah.
a powerful mindset shift.
Yeah, it's the mindset because what I mean by, shifting of the pain, it's the pain of the mind. It's the pain of the body. It's the pain of anything that you had outside of the gym that you needed relief from. Because I know I do when I'm finished with the gym. And I feel like I got to the point of exhaustion. I feel better mentally. I
Mhm.
feel like my day can start. I feel like I can get going. That's why I go to the gym so early. It's because it was like I don't want to get up at 3:30. I don't want to get up at 4. I don't want to go to the gym that early. So, okay, now I'm going to get up and go to the gym that early because I don't want to. And I think it was Patrick Bet David that said, just do something every day that you don't want to do it. Or maybe it was Goggins. They're both inspirational. But,
But,
you know, either way, you
but
know.
why is that? Like that is so counter a lot of mindsets, right out like out there. Like the idea of discomfort, the idea of doing something that is going to require resistance. I think it's against like that human nature or our brain, right? Like our body, our brain does not like discomfort. So it's against that. Why do we actually want to lean into that?
Because we feel better when we struggle. Regardless of how we feel, in my opinion, the levels of satisfaction that you get under stressful situations, I mean, really enhance your day, really enhance your life. I mean, when I go to the gym and I'm really stressing my body with different workouts, my mind gets better, my body gets better, I feel better, my day gets better. I feel like my interactions with people are better. And I think that it goes with anything in life. So if you struggle with depression, you struggle with anxiety, you struggle with anything in life, and you do something that's hard, and you push yourself to the limits of that you think are the limits, and then you try to go a little bit more. Like I tell my son, I say one more rep. If you're going to go do another rep, you might as well do one more rep and see if you can do another one. Stress your body, because all you're doing is ensuring that you're stronger and better in the end. Because I mean, the thing is that, like I tell him, I said, make sure the rep is right. It's not about the weight, it's about the rep.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's interesting. So, in 2022, all the COVID years kind of blur.
Mm,
But I ran two full marathons, and
mm,
one of my mottos was, when I say go, you go. And that was so helpful in the training process because there was time where I did not want to run, right? Like I was
mhm.
like my body was so fatigued, it was so exhausted. I just wanted to tap out, mainly mentally. And that mantra of when I say go, you go allowed me to keep running and allowed me to get into this like flow state that really I was able to prove myself wrong, which I think is half the battle, right? Like you're proving that ego aspect wrong. You're proving your like limiting beliefs wrong. You're proving this old narrative wrong. And it allowed to stay in action where I found being proud of myself and I felt super confident. I was like, I just did that and I got to claim that, even though I didn't think I could do it. And
Mhm.
that's where I want to encourage more people to lean into that of when you say go, go. Like it's not like stop doubting yourself, right? Like for someone that's like, "Oh, I'm really going to be healthy this year." It's like, then do it, right? Like stop questioning that because you spent so much time in the questioning and the doubt that isn't truly yourself. Lean into the action part and stop overthinking it, right? Like there's just so much overthinking thought that can be put into this when if we can get the person into one rep, like you said, we could get them on the treadmill, if we can get them into one healthier meal, we've put them in action. And now we start to build that self confidence muscle, if you will. It can be such a
Yep.
game changer.
Yep. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's one step at a time. I mean, you're not really gonna. I mean, you've got to put your foot forward and you got to start moving forward, and you have to make those steps. To make the change. I mean, it's necessary to move on.
What would you tell what would you tell women that want to get back in the gym?
What would I tell them?
Yeah, okay. Let me give some context to this because here's what I've heard often is really being hesitant and intimidated to be in the gym space. And you and I have talked about this. I still struggle with being in the free weight area. Some of the individuals are very intimidated to me and it's just a little overwhelming. So it's always nice to have, a partner or someone that can, even show you some workouts, but also just like do it with you, right? Like, and be that support system. But a lot of women don't have that or the time of day that they need to go, right? In order to match their kids' schedule or their work schedule, whatever. They would be going to the gym alone, and that feels very intimidating to them. What would you share with that person?
Well, I mean, it goes back to the confidence, right, that we were talking about, and for me, there's an intimidation factor when you haven't been to the gym in a long time, right? So you're walking into an unknown space. I used to go to the gym all the time. Way back in the day, I used to go to the gym, and then, life happens. Like you said, you get busy, you got kids, and you got work, and you got school, and everything happens. But at the same time, we can't make the excuse because at the end of the day, it is an excuse as to the reason why we didn't go and make time to do something for ourselves. Right. I get up at 3:30. I'll get up at 4, not because I want to, but because it doesn't take away from anybody else. It takes away from me and it takes away from my sleep, but it's also part of the discipline aspect of it and getting up and doing something. So if you have to do it at 7 o'clock, you have to do it at 8 o'clock, then you have to do it. I mean, but at some point, you're going to have to take that step forward. That's all I can say.
Mhm. And usually, once that step is taken, we realize that we made it much bigger in our mind than it actually was.
Right, right,
Okay, but seriously, you have some
right.
shit to talk about some guys in the gym. So, and the only reason why I want to highlight this is because it's not just a girl thing to experience that. Even guys experience gym culture that might not be their favorite. So, you've had some experiences with this. Do you want to share any of that?
Sure. I mean, it just comes down to gym etiquette, right? It comes down to gym etiquette, and I think when we talked about the handshaking and the communication, we've lost communication with this generation in the sense that we've taught them respect. We've failed. I think our generation has failed in teaching this generation respect because I mean, it's on display in the gym. When I was growing up, if somebody had let's say the bench, right? You would put the weights on the bench. You go find the weights, for yourself, and you put them on the bench and you use those weights. And for the duration of time that you're at that bench, those weights are yours. Now, do I have ownership over those weights? No. But it's a respect thing that you're using those weights. You went and got those weights, and you are going to use those until the time that you leave. Today's world, they go and steal your weights the moment you start doing your rep. And I find it very disrespectful because it's a lack of respect. Another thing, when you go into the gym, you're not going into the gym ready if you're wearing sandals. I mean, how much workout are you going to do in Birkenstocks? I don't get this new generation, but we failed. I think we failed, to be quite honest with you.
How do
Yeah.
we support that? So, like, how do we help just across the board with the respect factor then?
Well, I mean, it starts at home, to be honest with you. I mean, I've seen younger kids than the ones that I see at the gym that are disrespectful to their parents. And I mean, it really starts at home. I mean, this whole generation of I can talk back to my parents and say what I want to say, and you don't know me and you don't know what my life is all about. You know, remove all the phones, remove all the gadgets. You're still a human being, and we know exactly what you're doing because we were you at that age without all the gizmos and gadgets, which actually makes us smarter than you in
Mhm.
terms of, the day to day. But I think we've failed, failed miserably.
Yeah, I see that too, Dustin. Like, I see that a lot just across the board. The idea of self-respect is something that I think we've gotten wrong in the sense of, like, it's actually really respectful for you to set boundaries on yourself. It, for example, right? Like, you set a boundary on yourself that regardless of whatever time I have to get up, I'm going to get up and go to the gym. That's a
Right.
boundary that you actually set for yourself and that you keep for yourself for you to ultimately feel really good. And when you don't do that, it's a sign of disrespect to yourself and you notice that you don't feel as good. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'm disappointed, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've accomplished the most that I could accomplish in the day because I didn't do something to stress my body. To
Mhm.
like even when we go golfing on the weekends, like when I talk about the pain, I go through golfing. I walk the entire 18 holes, and then I'll do some hitting before and then after, and then when I'm finished with that, then I have to go to the gym because if I don't go to the gym the rest of the night, I'm going to be in pain. So I
Mhm.
have to go to the gym, stretch out, do what I need to do, and so it's a discipline. It really is a discipline to do these things and demand that of yourself.
Mhm. So, do you feel motivated every day to do that?
Not every day, but I know that I have to, and that's where the discipline comes in
Mm.
because I have to do something because I know you feel it. So say you go one day, right? You go one day. I'm not saying I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do a Dave Goggins every single day at the gym. I don't do it one day, let's be honest, but let's say every day, right? I'm not doing that. But Saturdays and Sundays, you can do something to still exercise and do what you got to do. And it comes down to discipline.
Yeah. So I will say I've had a shift in thinking in this arena. So I used to think that those that said, "Oh, I exercise every single day, no days off," I found them to be really extreme. And in some ways, some individuals are. But since doing the walking challenge, where I've been walking 7,000 steps every single day,
Yeah.
or I think it's like going on day 720, and by the time this airs, it'll probably hit 2 years of that. It has been one of the most powerful things I've done for my health. And I'm not just talking about like weight, I'm talking about mental, emotional, physical health. There is a difference. Like my body captures and feels different if I haven't had my steps in, right? Like, and so I try to do it super early in the morning. So just done, right, out of the way, don't have to worry about it. But if that's not a reality for that day and I have to do it a little bit later, my body feels it. It feels a difference. It's like, I have not moved. Like this needs to, like, you need to do something about this essentially. And that's new. I haven't like, I used to think that the body needed a lot more rest than it actually does. And I think from a society perspective, just the amount of movement that we engage in on average is just so low that it's okay to say, I'm going to take a 5 minute walk every single day, or I'm going to take right? Like, what can you do every single day to move your body so that every single day you do get those reps in?
So I mean, stretch every single day. I stretch, and if anybody stretched, you can get a workout in just by using your own body weight against on different various stretches.
Mhm.
Like saying the push up, you get in there and you're holding yourself in a resistance position, and you're moving yourself 6 inches off the ground, and you're holding yourself in various positions. I mean, it's a stretch, but it's also a workout, and you can do it pretty much anywhere.
So, do you consider stretching a workout?
I do.
What?
I
I love
do.
it.
Wouldn't
Anyway,
you? Don't
yeah,
you?
totally. No, any way that we can move our body, I consider that like that counts. Literally, any way you can move your body outside of sitting, like in a seated position, that counts. So whatever works for the person works for the person, and every single
Absolutely.
body is different.
Absolutely. Stretching. I mean, you're holding yourself. I mean, you see it at the gym. I mean, I call it the Scotty Scheffler. It's the golf move where you put your foot over and hold yourself in a kind of a squatted position, but you're kind of sitting in a half genie, I guess you would say. But anyways, it's a very stressful situation when you're sitting there. And when I first started doing it, it was really, really tough. But over time, you just, stretch yourself into it. But yeah, stretching is a workout. What I mean, walking, I mean, you did 7,000 steps. Now, how do you feel after, let's say you said you take one day off and then you feel bad, right? So if you take 3 days off,
Well, okay,
how
so
bad would you feel with that?
yeah, from the walking perspective, I haven't taken any days off for it's like literally over 700 now. But the resistance training part, like, and where you're catching me in my journey right now is coming off of an injury. And
Mhm.
because I bitched to you,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like, this is
Yeah.
stupid. And I can't do a lot of things that I normally can do. That has been super frustrating. And so the pain factor, it's interesting because I am experiencing a lot of pain. And I want to move my body and I can't move my body in the same way. And so currently, I'm in this frustration zone. And, I've even said, well, there have been time, right? Like on Thursdays when we usually meet, like I'll be like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go walk. I just need to walk. I need to just move my body. And once I walk, then we'll see what's available to me, right? So I know like that's my baseline. I will start walking. I'll get myself in motion because I am actually not a motivated person. And I think this is something that's a big misnomer is on most days, I don't feel motivated to do most of the things that I do, but I am a very disciplined person because I do know how it makes me feel at the end of the day and big picture. And so I lean into that and I literally give myself these low hanging fruit of, okay, get into motion. Like, how can we get you into motion today? Like, what's available to you? Okay, walking. Walking's available to me right now. I don't care what pace. It could be the slow pace, it could be a fast pace, whatever. You get to decide. And from there, we continue to start seeing what's available. So
Mhm.
you've been walking for 5 minutes. Well, now what do you want to do? You want to keep walking? You
Mhm.
want to get off? You want to go lift some weight? Like like you're navigating your internal dialogue through action, not inaction. Which
Right.
makes a big difference.
and you're being methodical about what you want to do and why you want to do what you want to do, right? And that's one of the most important things is when you go to the gym is have a plan as to what you're doing. Go in there with an idea. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to work out. This is what I want to stress. And for your situation, I mean, you know your body. So you know exactly what you need to do to work out the areas in which you need to work out and how often. You know, when you were talking about it earlier, when you were saying that working out 7 days a week is not, it's not cohesive, or it is. You can do it every single day if you want. I mean, you have all different types of, you know, areas that you can work out and you know your body and you know what you need. And like with your accident, I mean, it's important.
Yeah, that's actually where I want to call people up. I like to say calling people up, it just visually, it's better in my mind versus calling people out. Because like you said, like it's probably an excuse that you can't move your body for 5 minutes, right? If we think about it, there was a new study that said most Americans spend an average of 3 hours on social media every day. And so that's where it's just like, okay, you have the time. What are you choosing to engage in? Right. So that's where I just want to really just call people up. If you are wanting to elevate your health and you're wanting to feel really good, and you're wanting to feel confident, you're wanting to be healthy, all those things, we have to call you up to a higher standard for yourself, first and foremost,
Hmm.
because scrolling social media 3 hours a day is probably doing jack shit for you. Right? It's probably leading to way more comparison, way more sedentary lifestyle, way more never feeling good enough. I know zero individuals that actually feel better after they've scrolled social media.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel better? I mean, I guess in a humor way, sometimes I feel better
Sometimes,
because
yeah,
I see some funny things on there. So
yeah,
I got to say that makes me happy a little bit. So,
yeah. That's
but
true.
yeah,
That's true.
I do agree with you that social media is just, I mean, it has taken over, and a lot of people, you know, put on that persona on there that, you know, hey, look at me, you know, look at my life. It's great, it's wonderful, and you know, we all know you know, it's a wreck. You know, we can see it. So you know, you should probably stay off social media and you should probably get to the gym a little bit and do some stretching. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, Dustin, I could probably talk your ear off more and ask you more questions. Anything else that comes to mind that you'd like to share just on this episode today?
Yeah, you know, it's just, you know, I really appreciate you letting me come on here and talk. You know, this has been pretty fun. I know we have a lot of conversations on the outside, but I do have to ask you one question.
Oh no. Oh
Are you
no.
ready? Are you ready for it?
Depends. Depends.
Yeah. So you said that you're not motivated to go to the gym every day. You're not motivated to get up and do what needs to be done,
Yeah.
right? So why do you? What makes you get up and do that?
Yeah. So, and I say that because it's often a mental fist fight for me. Like to go back and forth between, oh, I know I should do this. Oh, I have so much to get done over here. Like it's just this constant like ping pong, if you will, back and forth. And ultimately, I do it because it's a core value of mine. So my two core values are freedom and well-being. And I can't be free and I can't be well if I'm not moving my body. And so I lean into that. And some days I don't have to as much because it's like, oh yeah, like easy peasy, right? Like in the springtime when the weather's good, the sun's out early, like it's super easy to get to the gym, or at least it is, like it becomes easier. Right now, right? Like we're in December, going into January, the weather sucks, it's cold, like no one wants to get out of bed, right? Like it's dark, like all the things are essentially stacked against you. It's really easy to be like, I'm gonna hit that snooze button, I'm gonna cuddle with my cats, right? Like I'm just gonna enjoy this life. It's really easy to do that. And then I remember, ah, freedom and well-being. I can't be free if I'm not well. And I know what it feels like to not feel well. So I choose differently because I also know what it feels like to feel really amazing. And I want more of that in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why we go to the gym every single day. Every single day to make you feel that way.
Yeah.
You know, we're like chasing the high, you know. You're
Mhm.
constantly chasing it to make yourself feel better. And it's a good way to be, and it's a good life to live. And yeah,
Cool. Well, I love the
awesome.
question. You're a coach too, so you're good at the questions. But yes, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it and giving this different lens of what it means to show up for yourself, essentially, and why we do that, and just continuing that conversation. So I appreciate it.
Thank
This
you.
has been Talking Shit. If you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up or leave a review on the Apple Podcast app. If you want more episodes, click that subscribe button. And if you want to learn more, visit healthwins.org. Talkin' Shit is produced and hosted by me, Jana. This production is also made possible by the Community Media Access Collaborative. Learn more at cmac.tv. See you next time.